Welcome back. Hope you're all doing well. This is what I'm looking at for the next 1,200 miles. Love it. Open country. Well, I slept good last night. Crawled up in my sleeper last night. It started softly raining. Woo. I slept into 6:30 this morning. That's late for me. So I really appreciate all the positive comments and the interest in the cargo van. And right off the bat, I'll tell you this was something I had planned for a long time. The truck breaking down, my big truck breaking down when it did, kind of just forced my hand, made me go ahead and do it. But I was going to do it at some point, no matter what. And I'd already done all my research. I had my plan in place. So when the truck did break down, there was a few days of stress where, you're just not sure. But, I went ahead and jumped and I made the move. I did sell my old Kenworth. But let me tell you how I got to this point in my thought process over the last year or more. If you've seen any of my old load board videos, I was always including those box truck loads. I always wanted to, that's, when I kind of started doing my research and, looking at how many loads were, as I was doing my, power only load search, looking at how many box truck loads there were and what they paid, and along with van loads. So started quite a long time ago, and my plan was to always buy the box truck, try it out. If it didn't work, it'd be my camping cabin. I could make trick it out in the back, put beds and sinks and all kinds of stuff. And so I knew my big truck wasn't going to last much longer. I'd paid $20,000. I ended up paying $25,000 for the truck with all the flatbed equipment on it. And when I bought it, I said, if this thing lasts me a year, I've gotten my money's worth. It ended up lasting about 2.5 years. So somewhere in the middle there, I knew the truck was going downhill pretty quick. It was, all these little ticky-tack things started going wrong with it, started using more and more oil. And I developed a plan for that, which I always have 4 or 5 plans running around in my mind. So my plan was one of a few things. I could sell the truck, but I'm not a used car salesman. I'm not going to lie to somebody to make a profit on the truck. And if I told somebody all the problems it had with it, I wouldn't hardly get anything for it. The next solution was to trade it in. And so that was a really eye-opening, disgusting process, because that truck that I paid, let's say $25,000 for, a year and a half, fast forward a year and a half later, that same truck they wanted $80,000 for, because the demand for big trucks. So as I was looking at used trucks, maybe possibly trading mine in, I realized real quickly that the trucks that were out there, they valued them so high that you would never make your money back on the truck before the thing needed a rebuild. It's impossible to. If you go out and they wanted over $100,000 for a truck with 500,000 miles on it, there's no way for you to see the light at the end of the tunnel if you're trying to pay that thing off and make a profit after a couple of years. It could not happen. So I completely, totally get why people who've bought trucks over the past couple of years are parking them and going to work somewhere else, because you don't want to wear out that truck before you've paid it off. It doesn't make sense. Now, I looked and I looked and I looked, and that was the reality everywhere I looked. I just, doing the math, I could not make sense of it. So after a while, I stopped looking and I started developing a plan. I knew at some point the truck prices have to come down, but I started looking into straight trucks, 26 foot, 24 foot box trucks. Now, in my brain, I started thinking about the difference between the big truck and the box truck. And as far as the problems go, they were all the same issues. You still had the diesel engine, you had the DEF, had to park in a truck stop, all the same stuff, but you made less per load. And the truck was still expensive. As expensive as a semi or more. When you think about the what you're going to get in return. And so I started looking at all my options, all the way down to Sprinter vans. And that's how the plan started developing. And then, as I was getting closer to knowing that my truck was going to have to be rebuilt, the plan became, more concrete. I knew which truck I wanted. I didn't want to get the Sprinter van because you were very limited on the cargo that you could pick up. And that cargo paid well under, on average, $1 per mile, usually around 85 cents per mile. And the reason that those Sprinter van drivers make any money at all is because they're driving 5,000 miles a week. Now, you couple that with the price of a Sprinter van, because everybody is going out, buying these Sprinter vans and turning them into RVs, throwing a queen size bed in it, and all kinds of stuff, and then, going out and enjoying the outdoors. But so if I was looking at buying the biggest, best Sprinter van out there, I was going to have to spend over $50,000 for that thing. And then to make a good living out of it, I'd have to stay on the road for weeks and weeks at a time. Did not make sense to me. The guys that you see on the Sprinter vans that are making money around the house, that to them, $1,000 a week is a lot of money, and it is a lot of money. But that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to hustle and work that hard for such a small paycheck. I pretty much eliminated the 26-foot box truck because it had all the same problems that any big truck would have, and you're limiting yourself on what you could take. So somewhere in the middle, I knew was where I was going to fall, and I started looking at trucks, and I came across a lot of different models. But at the same time, I was thinking, I'm way too big to sleep in the front end seat of one of these trucks. I'm over 6 feet tall, 250 pounds, and there's just not enough room to sleep on this front seat. So I needed something that I could put a sleeper of some type in. And when I came across this truck, this was a Penske moving truck. I thought maybe they would work out, and then when me and my wife went down and looked at them, I immediately knew that this was the right truck. And, when I got into it, I looked, and this panel right here, it's a very thin panel. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, and that's all that separates this cab from the cargo area. So I knew this is going to be easy to cut this hole in. I could put a bed right there. We're good to go as far as that goes. So that, right away, I made, we made a deal on the truck, and I got it. So that's how I sort of came across the cargo van. Not only was I able to put a sleeper in it, but I'm able to take most any load that a Sprinter van can take, and a lot of the loads that a straight van can take. Now, of course, with anything, there's caveats. I'm not dock high, so I miss a lot of loads. I don't have a lift gate, So I missed some loads with that. Some of the Sprinter van loads are time sensitive. Those Sprinter van drivers are not limited by an ELD. So they can drive, 1,000 miles. They can drive 24 hours straight if they want to. Whereas the rest of us, we have a clock to go by. But, already in the few loads that I've done, I've taken loads that are meant for a straight box truck, and I've taken loads that are meant for a Sprinter van. And I've taken one load that was meant for a moving van. So, it's just the same as always. These agents don't really, they have a picture in their mind and they put that on the, the listing. And I have to, if I tell them, if I call in and say, hey, I have a cargo van, immediately they get a picture in their mind of, an old Chevy van that you could barely put anything in. And so I have to tell them, now I've gotten to the point where I say, hey, I have a small box truck. And that puts the picture in their mind of a bigger cargo area. And I just, when I tell them the dimensions I have, and they'll usually make a call and say, hey, it'll fit or it won't fit, or you need to be dock high, or, some other things. But so far, so good. Why do people do this? He's gonna do it, ain't he? This was one of these areas where the guy came right up beside me. I mean, he was hauling butt. Came right up beside me, and at the last possible second decided, hey, I can't do that. Where was I at? So, so far I can see that I can make a very good living doing these out and back trips. I could probably, even right now when the loads are scarce and the rates are down, I could pretty easily bring home $2,500 a week or more profit, sheer profit. Running this cargo van, all my bills included, if you count it, a 2,500 mile week, all my insurance, payment, and fuel, I'm still under 45 cents per mile. So that means literally, if I take a load that's 75 cents, I'm making not a great profit, but I'm making a profit. And I've noticed that lately the gas prices are starting to come down a little bit. Over the past 3 days, I've paid less than $4 per gallon in the states that I was running in. Now I'm up here going toward Nevada, so that's going to change pretty quick. But so far, so good. My next step is to start trying to find some loads around the house. I haven't wanted to do that so far. I don't know why. I'm enjoying, I really love my out and back trips because I can go out, come back, make a good paycheck, and then spend 4 or 5 days at the house. But also, there's going to be some point where I want to get back into the routine of finding stuff around the house where I can make a decent living every day. And it's hard, very difficult for me to get into my brain that idea of making around $1 a mile is going to make me a decent profit. It's very difficult after doing the same thing for years and years, looking for a certain mark and knowing that, I need this much for maintenance and this much for fuel, and all those numbers have been cut in half, even more, less than half. And so it's going to take some getting used to, because when I'm looking for a load near the house and it's only paying $400 and it's going to take me all day, my immediate thought is, heck with that, I'm not doing that. But it's just one of those things. I have to get used to it. realize that that's going to make me a decent enough profit to, that I can do that every day. But for now, I am really enjoying this out and back stuff, going out to I went to, where did I go last week? Last week I went out to Utah, spent some time in Las Vegas, and then came straight back. And this time I'm going out to northern Nevada. Well, not northern Nevada, but oh man, these people. That's another phenomenon in this truck. Used to in the big truck, I had people run up on me and then pass me. And then as they're passing, they get back in this lane and nearly take my bumper off, and then they'd slow down. I never understood it. Maybe it had something to do with aerodynamics, something, I don't know. But now in this truck, it's completely different. People will run up onto my bumper dangerously close and stay there. And then as they go around, I guess the aerodynamics of this truck that just sucks them into the side of my truck. As that truck you saw right there, they stay over on this side of the line, and it's scary. But yeah, that's my update for today. Try to fill you guys in more on, show you some video of the little sleeper that got it halfway built, and it's pretty comfortable, does the trick. And I'll show you some freight that I've been hauling in the next vlog.